It's your fault. Hi, I'm Jeff Jackson, and I counsel people who've lost someone they love to suicide. In my video about battling guilt, I talk about how nearly every suicide loss survivor blames themselves in some way, and how that perception, while common, is false. But what if someone literally blames you for your loved one's suicide? What if they actually say it's your fault, either to your face or to others? If this has happened to you, I am deeply sorry that you have to endure that on top of all the other aspects of your grief. It is profoundly unfair and also false. And in this video, I'll explain why it's false and offer some ideas for dealing with the situation. First, let's talk about the accusation itself. What's so harmful about it is that at some point you've probably already entertained the question, should I have done something to prevent this? Or even, did I contribute to it in some way? Because everybody naturally does. And then when somebody actually verbalizes that in a direct accusation, it can cement that perception in your mind at the very moment you're most vulnerable. People who are blamed are often significant others of the person who died by suicide, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, and the accusation may come from the victim's family members. This could be because you had some sort of conflict with the person you lost shortly before their suicide. Or it could simply be because you were the one closest to them, sharing their everyday life. But I've also spoken with people who've lost a parent who were blamed by other family members. It can happen to anybody, and it happens far too often. So let's analyze it. Let's say you did have some sort of conflict with the person you lost. That's life. That's the nature of relationships, especially with people we love and are close to. We argue, we have disagreements. And you were in a relationship with someone who, by definition, was mentally unwell, making that relationship extra difficult. But that does not make their suicide your fault, not by a long shot. For example, let's say I got in an argument with a friend and I shoved them. Not good, right? Of course, we should never lay hands on anyone in anger. But let's say it was just a single shove. And now imagine it turns out they had a rare medical condition that made their bones extremely fragile. A condition that neither I nor they nor anyone knew about. And all the normal bumps and jostling of everyday life had been causing hidden fractures for years. And then that one additional shove happened to break the last bone that hadn't already fractured. Was my shove responsible for all the damage they had been sustaining for years, or for the condition that made them so fragile to begin with? And if I hadn't shoved them, isn't it likely that something else would eventually cause that last break? To put it another way, you couldn't drive a healthy mind to suicide even if you wanted to, or were actively trying to. It's not possible. It's their illness that caused their suicide, not anything you did or said. Now, maybe you had no such conflict with the person you lost, yet someone is still blaming you. Maybe they think you were a general source of heartache for that person, or that you should have known what was going to happen and intervene in some way. That is equally false and equally inexcusable. But it might help you to understand where it's coming from. Chances are whoever is blaming you is also in a great deal of pain over this loss. They're just as confused and traumatized by it as you are. And finding a scapegoat is an easy fix for some of their confusion and pain. Blaming you means they don't have to confront their own feelings of guilt or the difficult truth about the psychological condition of the person you both lost. And that leads me to an approach you may want to try with this person who's blaming you. While your instinct may be to hit back at them, tell them off, blame them right back, or just cut them out of your life, you might instead want to try saying to them some version of this. I know you're hurting over this just as much as I am, because we both love them so much. But blaming me is not only unfair and untrue, it's not going to help you heal. And we both need to heal from this. I have been trying to learn the truth about suicide and what causes it, and I'd like to share those resources with you so you can join me, and maybe we can help each other start to heal. Now, I'm not recommending this approach because they deserve your understanding or your forgiveness. They may not. What they're doing to you is terrible. However, this approach may actually help you. I recommend it for your benefit, not theirs. And if they refuse your generosity or insist on maintaining these false accusations, then they're to be pitied because they are not on a healthy path toward healing. At that point, it's reasonable for you to put up some boundaries and to keep them from hurting you further. But wouldn't it be wonderful if you could turn this nasty episode into an opportunity for healing for both of you? If you found this helpful, please follow or subscribe. And there's more support you can find on my website, makingsenseofsuicide.health.